Hi everybody, and welcome to Friday in English 1112. Today I'm going to skip kind of the administrative stuff until I show you a short exercise in linguistics. So linguistics is the theory of language. It's how we know what we know when we write, which is really important for us as creative writers. So and for this exercise I am having people in my family participate because I can't do this alone, but you have to participate too. So when you see this, what comes to mind? In your mind, get a picture of coat. Give coat color, texture, length, a history, whatever you think. When you see this word, get that in your mind, get a real picture. Okay? Got it? Okay, my helper Merrick. What do you see when you see this word? Come on. This is my 9-year-old son.
Wow, Mary. I see wiener dogs and motorcycle jackets.
You see wiener dogs and motorcycle jackets when you see this word. Okay, thank you, Merrick. That's good.
Coats.
Coats, motorcycle coats. Okay, Scarlett, why don't you come next? This is my daughter, Scarlett, and she's on a medical leave from school and she can't talk. So you show us what you see. Point it toward the camera. In case you can't see it, a black pea coat. Okay, thank you, Scarlett. John Thompson. No, well, let's have John go. This is my husband. What do you see when you see this word?
I see a white faux fur with big furry buttons.
Thank you. That's good. Okay, Roan, one more. And when you see this word, Roan, what do you see?
Red, short, not super short, but
Like a jacket?
Yeah.
A red jacket? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you, Roan.
Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay, family.
Fuzzy
Good night.
butts.
Thank you very much. So, now my question is to you. What did you see? And my guess is that you didn't see a wiener dog in a motorcycle coat, not jacket. You didn't see a white puffy thing. And you didn't see maybe the pea coat my daughter saw or the red coat. That's because the word coat in linguistics, this box of letters, is an empty box. It signifies something. So this is a signifier. This word sends out a signal out into the world. And the signal that you get, you alone individually, that's the signified. So in linguistics, and this is a kind of linguistics we're thinking of as structuralism, this is the signifier. What you get is a signified. So when I see this word, I think of a red suede coat with some trim that I really like. So coat is a signifier, and that red suede coat is a signified. And the point of this exercise, this linguistics lesson, is to show you that this word coat has no firm or fixed meaning. Now, think about the significance of this for you as a writer. So the word that you write, coat, might say something to you. It signifies something, but it might signify something else entirely. It does. By nature, it signifies something else entirely to somebody else. So with the word coat, the consequences of the wrong word aren't very great. And the fact maybe that we can't all agree on the exact same coat doesn't have any repercussions or significance. But what if the word was justice? And how do we all decide what justice is? I mean, think of marriage, because we're voting on the marriage amendment. That word sends out a different message to people, what marriage means. So these words, when they have political significance, the definitions matter in the real world. That's how important language is. And I think the marriage amendment is a great example of how I think good can happen from one way of looking at the word, and maybe not so good from another. So words matter. That word marriage matters in Minnesota right now. Justice matters throughout the world. Justice in a family matters. When you're mad at someone in your family, Justice in a relationship. If you're mad at your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or whatever, your idea of a just outcome is going to be different. So when you're writing something creatively, the trick is to convey your cult, without using too many words. So this is the trap. This is the dilemma of the creative writer. So how do you create a meaning precise enough that the meaning you want to convey is conveyed without getting bogged down in all those words? And I mean, there's no right answer for this. I happen to think that eliminating those filler words that I talked about last week, in of that just as it, lots of prepositions, that will help get rid of those words. But that's the task at hand, and that's the difficulty of writing, and language matters. Language has real impact in people's lives. So I wanted to share that lesson with you. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about creative nonfiction. I wrote about this on Wednesday, but the debate about what's truth in writing is really contentious, current, expensive. I want to say Augustine Burroughs' mother actually gave an interview with NPR that I heard long ago. She gave this interview where she denies everything that he says about her. She has a completely different version of what happened. Think about your story that you're going to tell. Did anybody else live through that? If they did, perhaps what they would experience and interpret, kind of like cult, is going to be very different. So you get to tell your truth. You know, maybe if you grew up in a family that wasn't very happy, your truth is of unhappiness and loneliness and isolation. But everybody else in your family seemed just fine. Their truth of that family might be that it was a really good family, but it wasn't for you. So that doesn't mean their truth is any less real, but it's just not yours. So your task with creative nonfiction, and I'm kind of assuming most people aren't going to write about the Grand Canyon or kind of a newsy creative thing, which is possible, but our own lives, is to convey your own truth, to get that box of meaning kind of where you want it to be, where we can all enter together. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think the other piece, and I've said this before, is to make your experience matter. So if there's kind of a bridge between self and other, Martin Buber is a very famous philosopher, and he talks about self and other, I and thou, and he's talking about God. But if there's something intangible or universal that we all tap into as human beings, that plane that's inexplicable really, that's where you want your writing to operate. You give somebody something that they can grab onto, that they see resonates with them and has truth for them too. So you don't want it to just be your truth. You want that truth to tap into universal truths and themes. So that's my creative nonfiction lecture. It's due Sunday by 11:59. And I also wanted to say you guys could bump up your comments. Look at David's, Colleen's, Kristen has had some good ones, Nick, to see the detail and specificity in those comments. Other people have great comments too. Those just names came to mind. Some people are just saying generally accurate things but not going into detail. So you can do a little bit of that. But good work. I'm really enjoying the class. And Edwidge Danticott, I need to talk about her, but I will save that for next week. Let me just say right now that this is a different book, a different reason that I wanted you to read this. Danticott is talking about an issue. She's talking about a culture. She's trying to outline not just a family story, but a scale of suffering and a story about a people and about women. So if Burroughs really only addresses his own life, Danticott addresses her character's life because it's fiction, but she's really trying to tell us something that has a moral point, that has a political point, that has a human rights point. So her piece is, to me, every bit as much about that as it is about the story, maybe even a little more. But I think she pulls it off, and she was only 21 or 22 when she wrote this. She wrote this book as her college paper, and she went to an Ivy League school, I can't remember which one, but she wrote this when she was a baby in my book. So thanks everybody, and have a good weekend.